Okay, everybody, we've made it to number 25. Doesn't mean a lot, it just means we've made it. We are going to start off with our roller, kind of gear up. We are doing an isometric day. So we are building our isometric contractions, which in turn will build our awareness of flexion into the muscle, our awareness of the muscle, building into the flexions that we want when we add in weight, and we can progress even further in a shorter amount of time or no matter what kind of weight selection that you have. So we're just going to start here on our hamstrings, rolling back and forth. Go ahead and move on down to your calves. I just have a little roller here. If you have a longer one, feel free to put both legs to work and roll here. Won't spend too much time. So isometric contractions basically mean self-flexion without actually moving. So you're just going to be holding a pose, and the goal is to flex into it as much as physically possible. So our tendency, the body's tendency, is to try to find the easiest way to get through whatever it is that it's doing. So you have the capacity to cheat your way through each minute. We're going to be on a timer, or to work your hardest and make each second count and heat up and feel the burn and agonizing in a wonderful way. All right, move it down to your calf. Keep your foot relaxed. Good. So we'll try and hit a little bit of everything. Some stuff we might have to take a little break. We might not be able to hold an entire minute, but I wanted to still keep it at a minute because I think it'll help really build the burn, build that awareness of our isometric flexions. We are going to be using a wall as well. Let's take the roller to the upper body. Just start it at the mid back, and we're going to roll up and down. So we are going to be doing a wall sit at some point. If you don't have access to a wall, you can go back to a glute bridge. We'll also be doing glute bridges, but just in case you don't have a wall, you can always also kind of do like a my brain can't think, like a held squat, chair pose. That's what I was trying to think of. A held chair pose. Oh, okay. Perfect. Get rid of that roller. We're going to flip over into a downward facing dog, and then we're going to get going. So we're going to hit 1 minute of a set of a held pose, and then we'll have 15 seconds to give ourselves a break and to give me some time to gear us up for the next one. Give me a second to explain what's coming. I've kind of been in that zone a little bit. If I can just explain as we go along, I think that we can get more work done and less explaining done. Less time we have to spend explaining. All right, drop onto those knees, hinge your hips back, reach far out in front. So the first exercise, the first held pose, is going to be a plank. So on your hands or on your elbows, remember the goal is to grab muscle to bone. So flex in deep, get everything shoved together. All right, we have 1 minute, should be no big deal. Ready, set, and go. All right, shoulders are way up past your elbow crease. Tuck through the tailbone, wrap into the thighs, and then scan the body. Can you find flexion through the back, flexion underneath your rib cage, flexion through the glutes, through the quads, press back through those heels. Keep the work focused on that core. You got it. Good, good. Find traction between elbows and toes. Breathe in, nice and deep, out, nice and deep. Build those flexions. Hold on to your contractions. 3, 2, and 1. Perfect. Nice start. Okay, flip over onto your back. And we're going to go into a glute bridge, but we're going to be trying for a single held side. So set up your feet, push your low back into the ground, drive your hips up off the ground. I'm going to lay my arms back in a goalpost position, and then you're going to lift one leg up. Now, we're not just trying to sustain this hold for the minute. I want you to really focus on those isometric flexions. Core, wrap all the way around. We just hit up that core. It's not going to have to work quite as hard as it did in the plank, but I still want it working. You still want it working. And then your glute on the pushing right leg, the hamstring, and then your quad on the lifting left leg. Level those hips. Don't just hang for a minute. Flex, contract, wrap. We are building skill, building isometric flexion. Keep your hold. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, drop your foot. Go ahead and hug those knees in. Just take a little second, stretch through the low back. And then I'm going to go ahead and push back into a regular glute bridge. You can join me or hold your break a little longer. And now we're going to lift the right leg back into that glute or your goal post with your arms. Find that core. Dig in deep. Flexions in through that glute and your hamstring. Through the quad on that lifting leg. See if you can line your leg, your quads up, the lifting leg and the supporting leg. Whew. Come on, hang strong. Find that core. Even flexion in through the back, the rib cage, the obliques. Drive it deep. Make sure you're feeling the hamstring and the glute on that pushing leg. That deep burn in your gluteus maximus. That's where we're targeting, but you'll also feel inner thigh. Abductor through that upper outer glute. Keep that drive and time. All right. Drop the hips, hug those knees in, and then we're going to come up to standing, holding a super wide base of support. We're going to drop into a goddess squat. Pull your knees out wide with the toes, sit, and hold. And just hold. Hands at the heart, putting pressure into each hand, opening the chest. Now, envision you're trying to squeeze the knees toward one another at the same time that you're trying to screw your feet wide. Pressure in through the hands, grab through the core, flex into your upper back. You've got it. See if you can get that upper thigh parallel to the ground. Dig and root in through those legs. We're building heat. Build the heat. Stay with it. 15. Nope, I read it wrong. Now we're at 15 seconds. 15 seconds. Come on, come on. Grab, flex, tighten. This is a good opener for those thighs as well. Shake is good. Should have to get into a little shake. Arms as well. And time. Push it up. Okay. Lower onto your stomach. Ooh. And we're going to hit a locust. So locust, you're going to drive that core strong. Interlace your hands behind the back. Lift the head, chest, and shoulders. Pull your hands up off the ground. Now lift your feet, your legs, your thighs. Tuck the chin in. Where are your flexions? Upper back, glutes, hamstrings, and core mainly. But scan the body. Find other places that you'd like to flex a little deeper. You do not want to put pressure on the low back, so flex those glutes. Flex your back. Flex your core. Remember, we're hugging muscle to bone. Tighten, contract. Flex those hamstrings again. I know they've gotten tired. Oh, time. Take a little child's pose. Stretch through that low back. We're going to hit a bear pose. Hands are going to be right under shoulders, knees right underneath your hips. Back into that core. Rotate your elbows. Pick your knees barely up off the ground, and then rotate your elbows so they point back at your knees. If you've been with us before, where we hold a transverse draw, that's your transverse abdominis. You're grabbing tight into the side front of the abdomen. That's what we're going for here. Flex your inner thighs. Traction, so pull your hands back to your toes. Tighten your belly button up. Flex through the triceps. Flex through the back. Thighs, glutes. Hang in it. 18 seconds. Abs are shaking, arms are shaking, legs are shaking. That's what we want. Time. Whew. All right, we're going to do wall sit with an arm flexion. So you're going to sit on the wall, and then I want you to pull your arms into a goalpost position, just like we did with our glute bridge, and you're going to push your arms into the wall. So envision, wow, envision you're trying to knock the wall over. The wow is in my shoulders, already heated up a lot. Flex between your knees, flex underneath your thighs. This is a great kind of alignment check as well, a little assessment tool. See if you can get the backs of your wrists into the wall, the backs of both elbows, and the backs of both shoulders. Don't forget to flex everywhere. We're not trying to get through the easiest way possible, but the toughest way. What about the core? Relax in your neck. 3, 2, and 1. Okay. This next one, Chaturanga Hold. So you're going to squeeze your elbows in tight. You're going to drop in. You can stay on your knees or stay on your toes or find like a little bit of a collection of both. Elbows squeeze in tight. Tuck the elbows in. Tuck your tailbone under. Flex through the belly. Find the triceps. So try not to just drop and collapse. Flex into the triceps. Push into your thumb and first finger. Tuck the tailbone. Feel that core. Your body's going to try to find where it can compensate, where it can relax. Put the work into the skeletal system. Keep your breath. Tuck your tailbone. Keep that core strong. Come on, come on. Just a little longer. See if you can hold a few more seconds. Time. All right, last one for the round. We're going to do a full squat with our heels up off the ground. Bring your arms all the way up overhead. Knees line with toes. Sit down straight and low. Lift your heels and hold midway. So I don't want you to drop your hips all the way on your heels and relax. Find this position. Flex into the back, the core, the glutes, the quads. Those calves will light up. Got sewing machine legs. Ooh. Lift up onto those toes. Stay strong through that core. Strong through the back. Belly holds strong. Oh. This is definitely tough work for me, having to hold a position time instead of being able to go up and down. You really notice how you have to work more when you don't have that release. All right, plank is up. We have one set left. Push into those elbows. Elbows pull back toward toes. Breathe. Focus. Traction. Spot check. Touch base with different muscle groups. See if you can get more flexion there. Thighs, glutes, calves, quads, under the rib cage, obliques, transverse muscles. Rectus abdominis. Flex into the back. Stay relaxed in the neck though. You've got to keep that belly locked. Time. Okay, we're flipping over, hitting up our single leg glute bridges. Elbows back. Find that goalpost. Lift high and hold. Flex deep into that glute and hamstring. Whew. Fired up a lot faster this time. Don't relax out of it. Stay flexed in. Build your isometric ability. You're flexing enough. Your entire body's heated. Core temperature is rising. Oh my goodness. Quad flexes. Keep those hips driving up. Keep the core locked in. Space between ears and shoulders. Whee! Ah. That was a good one. All right, tuck those knees in. Reset the feet. Drive up into your glute bridge first. Grab deep into the core. Other side. Whew. Build that heat, build that burn. Flex through that core. Open through those hip flexors. Flex through the quad. I know you're feeling that hamstring and glute. Flex in, hug muscle to bone. Regulate your breathing. You got it. Well done. Come on. Grab around that core. And time. Okay. Hug those knees. We're going to go back to our goddess squat. Open those feet out wide. So toes are wide. Sink it low. Hands together. See if you can find flexion through the shoulders. Heat there. Sit the hips back. Knees out wide with toes. See how high you can keep that chest. Back, triceps, biceps, shoulder, core, inner thighs, glutes, hamstrings, abductors, adductors. Keep it going. 3, 2, 1. Whew. Shake a leg, shake a leg. Okay, hit that locust. Drop down. Remember, we need to keep the belly locked in. Toes on the ground. Pull the chest, shoulders up first. Lock the core. Grab the glutes. Then lift your toes. Scan the body and find your flexions. Can you keep the belly locked even though you're lying on it? Can you use your back to lift the chest? Squeeze those elbows toward one another. Can you lift your thighs off anymore? Build those glutes, build your hamstrings. Scan the body. Time. Take a quick child's pose, and we're at bear. Our bear pose. Here we go. Plant your hands and knees, then curl the toes under, lift the knees off the ground. Find your pelvic floor muscles. Create a tug of war with your legs. Lengthen the spine. Should be neutral. Pull the hands back toward the toes without moving anywhere. Dial in. Stay focused. 5 seconds. Come on, really get that core. Time. Oh, let's see. Wall sit with those arms. Arms in goalpost. Check in with those legs. Get your knees to 90 degrees. Drive your arms into the wall. Tighten through the belly. Relax in the neck. You got it. Find your flexions. Halfway there. Come on, push into the burn. Set into it. It's what we came for. Don't back out of it. We're not shaking it off yet. Keep those shoulder blades pushed back. Focus. We're just under 10 to go. Don't stop now. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, Chaturanga. Chaturanga hold. Squeeze those elbows in. Lock tight through the core. Tuck your tailbone. Oh. Stay in the moment. Relax through the neck. Oh my goodness. Time. Whee. That's the tough one. Okay, we're going to sink into that full squat. It's more like a mid squat, I guess. Knees half to line with toes, up on your toes. So heels are up. Flex that belly. Squat it in. How high can you get those heels off the floor? Make sure the knees line with toes. If it puts pressure on your knees, just go back to a glute bridge. And you can lift your heels up off the ground. Belly button pulls back. Tailbone tucks under a bit. Oh, get the shakes. 20 seconds. Come on. Lock it in. Stay with it. Where are you flexing? Time. Whew. All right, hinge over those legs a second. We're going to pick up one little piece, one little item set in before we stretch. So it's 1 minute per side. Go into an oblique or a side plank, for your oblique. Open the chest, tuck your hips, and build flexion. Isometric contraction, isometric hold. Train the muscle to support the body. Stack the hips. Feel my hamstrings grabbing, quads, the lower glute here toward the floor. Drive up through that oblique, front of the belly contraction. Time. Okay, get the other side. Set that elbow. And then drive it up. Remember, you want to start with your legs a little bent, a little short, tugged in, to then give you that height through that oblique, through the hips on the bottom side. This should be a struggle by now. Side plank isn't usually very difficult for me, but my muscles are exhausted. They don't want to flex anymore. I don't want to force them to anymore, but we're almost there. It's our last 24 seconds. Find the legs. Keep the core. Find your back. Front of the belly. Of course, the oblique. Three, 2, and 1. Whew, nice work. Well done, well done. All right, let's get a good stretch here. Plant your hands onto the ground. Go ahead, push your hips up and back. Start with a little down dog. But I want you to go ahead and bring your feet in toward your hands. Now, if this doesn't work for you, I want you to lie on your back and get a hamstring stretch from your back. Otherwise, you're going to plant onto one foot and then lift the other one as high as possible in the air and then try to push up straight out of that lower leg. You can always grab blocks or a couple weights to help support from the bottom if you need to bring the floor up. You should feel that hamstring stretching, plus you're still building into the core, the upper back. Okay, drop your leg. And we're going to hit the same thing on the other side. Belly strong. Grab in. One leg might be a little different than the other. Trying to get that leg straight. Relax in the neck. Lock that core. Ah, and then lower the leg. Whew. All right, widen your feet. Sit your hips all the way down into our yogi squat to start. Plant your hands inside together. Open those knees. I have to be honest, I wasn't super looking forward to today. Isometric contractions and holds training is very difficult for me, especially if I'm going to do it right. Okay, bring your left leg forward pretty far. So we're going to get a pretty good hinge in our back thigh. So just set here a second first. So I hope that you got all that you could out of it. I hope that you really worked on the flexions. And maybe it wasn't a struggle for you today. That's okay. Over time, you're going to learn how to build those isometric flexions and holds. Okay, reach back with your opposite hand and grab your toe. Then lunge back forward. Lift the chest. Push the hips forward. Let that quad stretch. All right, release there. Definitely get that hamstring again. Make sure you're rotating the hips so the front hip pulls back, back hip pulls forward. Breathe into that stretch, relax into it. All right, and then we're going to take this front foot, that left foot, cross it over your mat. So set it on the right side of your mat and then walk your hands forward for our wonderful pigeon. Pull the toe back, make sure that you're flexing the foot, square off the hips. It's not about how low you get, it's about keeping the hips squared off so that you're getting the stretch through the glute on the forward leg and that you're keeping your pelvic alignment. We don't want to mess that up, especially in this stretch. I have a couple clients that actually just don't like to do this stretch because it bothers their hip, and it's because they don't keep their pelvis squared off. You may feel a nice little pull on the low back. Again, it's leveling off and squaring off your pelvis, which we need. All the little consistent patterns of movement that we have throughout the day, how we sit, how we get up out of our chair, sit in our chair, how we drive, how we walk, how we run or cycle, any of it. We have little patterns that we start to build and over time can have a tendency, depending on core strength and other imbalances. All right, let's switch it up. Start with bringing that right leg forward. Over time, they can start to kind of hurt the low back, or that's what can cause hip or knee pain. So be mindful of your pelvis. I've definitely been working through my discrepancies. I have a little tilt myself, and it takes time to adjust it. As I'm adjusting it, other things kind of start to hurt, but figuring out why it's tight, where it's weak. Okay, grab that back foot with your opposite hand. Make sure you're leaning forward, open that chest, so tuck your hips so that the front of the quad is pushing forward. Really get that nice stretch to the quad. Okay, release. And let's hinge back and get that hamstring. Give it a some good time to relax. Same thing here as I talked about with your pigeon. You want to keep those hips leveled off, squared off. And you might not always be sure, but check in, just move it to one side or the other. What happens if you drop out of a hip or into a hip? Scissoring, feeling, sometimes taking a hand onto your back. You might be able to tell if it's one side's higher than the other. You don't have to get it day 1 or even day 50 or even day 100. It's a constant checking in, a constant keeping track of, and being patient with yourself. Cross your foot over. It's really fun to get into or to get to the point where your workouts and your training regimen are consistent. You don't have to be OCD and extreme, but they're consistent. So because you're constantly hitting your mat, you're constantly doing something to keep the body moving and keep it training, especially in different ranges of motion or through different types of movement, your body's going to start learning and adjusting and creating new healthy patterns to help break itself out of the old repetitive motions that can cause harm. So sometimes we twist, sometimes we go straight, sometimes we go lateral. Today we didn't hold a single piece of equipment. My muscles were on fire. Shaking it up. Keep the body guessing and keep it healthy and reactive. All right, push into those hands. Put both knees together. Curl those toes or put the tops of the feet on the ground. Drop your forehead onto the ground and then reach your hands behind and just relax. All right, grab your hands behind your back, interlace. Pull your hands up behind your head as far as they'll go. And then sit up. All right, thank you all so much. And bring it on back so we can hit another day together. I'll see you soon.